You know, for most of my working life, I was in sales and sales leadership with Source Technologies. When I started with Source Technologies, it was 1992. At the time, they were a computer printer distributor. And I had moved up to Boston to open up the Northeast office. Well, at the time, and still, you know, Boston is this red-hot technology center. And the last thing that any business up there wanted was another computer equipment distributor. We didn't have any customers, and I had no leads, and so all there was to do was to cold call. Well, you know, that sounds reasonable. Marilyn, you're a salesperson. You know, you got to cold call. You got to get the job done. Well, not only did I hate cold calling, I stunk at cold calling. I mean, I'm serious. As much as I practiced or got trained, you know, felt like it was on message, I just stunk at it. And it was a really inefficient way for me to work, too, because I would practice for like 10 minutes before I'd pick up the phone and call anybody. So for any salesperson that has to make a gazillion calls a day, you know, it's not very good. So it's about 45 days into this sales gig, and I'm writing in my journal, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? You know, I've moved all the way up here. These guys have, you know, spending a lot of money on me, and I'm not producing, and all this head trash about, you know, I'm not cutting it. I'm not cut out for this. So, again, it's about 45 days into it, and the president of the company, Miles Busby, called me up with a lead. And he told me to get on a plane or a train and get to New York City for a meeting. And what was happening at the time is that IBM had just sold their printer division to some private investors, and they formed the company Lexmark International. And Lexmark, what was interesting to us was that Lexmark had bought the rights for the printers, but they didn't buy the technology to hook these printers up to IBM mainframe systems. They needed a partner to do it. And that just happened to be Source Technologies' claim to fame. So I went to New York, and I met with the Lexmark rep that had teed up the meeting with a very large financial services company that just needed to buy 250 mainframe attached printers. Well, we had a great meeting, and we ended up selling the printers, and I was off to the races. I mean, literally. You know, because at the time, my territory was the whole Northeast, and there were no less than 100 Lexmark sales reps that all needed this partner. So that was the end of my cold calling. That was the end of my head trash about whether I could cut it or not. And that was a beginning of a long and incredibly successful career with Source Technologies. And that's when this funny thing started happening for me. You know, I got to know a lot of these salespeople. I would meet them, and I was starting to size these people up. You know, a lot of them were ex-IBMers, the best and the brightest. And I'm sizing them up. You know, I would meet one, and I would meet a salesperson. I would say, wow, this guy's really sharp. He knows how to open doors. I'm going to follow him. I'm going to stick with him. Or, ooh, not a strong closer. Better keep the manager in the meeting for every meeting. Or, uh-oh, he's a bull in a china shop. Can't get him invited to the next meeting. And, you know, it occurred to me that we were all salespeople, but our talents were as diverse as they could possibly be. And what I was doing was I was, you know, sizing them up, but I was identifying their strengths. And I was working the relationship to leverage their talents and create strategies to minimize their weaknesses. You know, and I did this because I needed access to them. I needed access to all of them. You know, I wanted in to all of their customers, and I needed that access. And I had to become that person that could work with them. I couldn't ask them to adapt to me. So this is my start with the obsession that I have with this whole topic of talent access.